to video number 2. In this video, we're going to be talking about Native American vocabulary. So turn on your listening ears and turn on your brains and be thinking about how these vocabulary words might apply to the Native Americans. Okay, Native American vocabulary. The Native Americans were the people who inhabited the Americas before the Europeans came over. Physical environment. The physical environment is the physical surroundings on Earth, including all living things and non-living things. So, for example, your physical environment would be all of the things in your house surrounding you right now, and all of your pets and family members that are surrounding you right now. For me, when I'm recording this, my physical environment includes my couch, my floor, my ceilings, my wall, and my dog. When I'm in my classroom, my physical environment changes, and then I might have other teachers are in my physical environment, desks, classroom supplies, and that kind of thing. Climate. Climate is the average measurement of temperature, wind, humidity, snow, and rain in a place over the course of years. The important thing about climate is it's consistent over several years. So in Georgia, we tend to think of ourselves as having a hot climate because more often than not, it's hot outside. Every now and then we might get snow, every now and then it might be really rainy, but in general, our climate is hot. So that's our climate. Adaptations. An adaptation is a physical or behavioral characteristic of an organism, that's an animal, that helps it survive better in the surrounding environment. If you look at this picture, there are all kinds of different birds with different beak shapes. Each bird has developed a different beak shape to help it survive best in the wild. Another example of an adaptation that you might be a little bit more familiar with would be if you look at like a dog that lives in a cold environment, like a husky, it would have a really fluffy furry coat. And if you look at a dog that would live in a warmer climate, like a lab or a greyhound, they have shorter coats and they don't need as much fur to keep them warm. Okay, natural features. Natural features are the parts of the land that were in place before people lived there. Those are things like mountains and trees and forests, basically anything in the natural environment that existed before people had anything to do with them. Shelter. You are in a shelter right now. Shelters are something that covers or protects you. So right now, as I'm recording this, I'm in my shelter. I live in an apartment building that protects me. Some other people live in houses. That would be their shelter. Some people live in trailers. That would be their shelter. Any place you live is considered your shelter. Nomadic. Nomadic is people who do not have a permanent home, but instead they move from place to place in search of food or livestock to graze. So these people wouldn't have a permanent settlement like we have a house or an apartment or a trailer. Instead, they might live in a teepee or a tent, and they would pick up and leave as they needed to find food and other necessities. A tool. Y'all probably have tools at your house. A tool is an instrument used or worked by hand or machine to perform a task. So basically anything that a person can make to make their life easier. So like a hammer, an axe, a saw are very traditional tools. Tools that you might be a little bit more familiar with that you use every day to make your life easier might be a pencil or a pen or a marker. Cell phones are considered tools. Anything to make a human's life easier would be a tool. Indigenous. Indigenous is a big long word, but it's pretty simple to understand. Indigenous just means the first people who lived in a region. So in our region of North Georgia, the first people to live here were the Native Americans. So we consider the Native Americans to be an indigenous people. Okay. Agriculture. Agriculture is growing or harvesting crops and raising animals or livestock. You probably think about farms or farmers when you think about agriculture. Um, it basically just means you are growing crops for food or raising animals for food or to sell. Hunter and gatherers. This is the opposite of agriculture. Instead of growing their food in one place, these people go and get their food. That in order to get their food, they either find it growing wild, like in the woods or in outside, or they go hunting or fishing for it. A habitat. A habitat is where people or animals live. Your habitat would be your house. My habitat is my apartment. A squirrel's habitat might be a tree. Anywhere that person or animal lives is considered a habitat. Hide. This is not the kind of hide where you play hide and go seek. Instead, this hide means the skin or fur of an animal that can be used for clothing or shelter. A type of hide that y'all might be familiar with would be leather. So if you ever see anyone wearing a leather jacket or someone that has like a leather purse or handbag, that's made from cow skin, and that's considered a type of hide. Congratulations, you made it through the Native American vocabulary video. After this video, you will respond to the Native American vocabulary checkup on Schoology, and once you complete that part of the assignment, you will move on to the rounding video. Thanks, and I will see you in a little bit.